Hello everyone, it's Omar from Casual Meeple, and today we are having a look at a game which I consider a modern classic. The old days of playing Monopoly with family are long gone, and we have much better alternatives now. And today we are going to have a look at one of the games that I think every single household should have. Of course, I'm talking about Ticket to Ride. Now, as we are from UK and we are based over here, we're going to be looking at Ticket to Ride Europe, which is one of the many different versions. We also have the Asia and the original American one, but nothing's going to be as fun as going from London to Berlin, for example. Now, it's a simple game about building trains between different cities in Europe. Now, the map is a bit old school in this edition. However, I don't want to spoil too much, because right now we're going to have a look what's inside, how the game plays, before I give you my final thoughts as usual. So let's have a look what's inside, and I'll see you in a second. Alright, so like usual, let's start with seeing what's inside the box. This is everything we have in the box itself. We've got our board and markers to track the points we get in the game. We have 5 sets of trains for each of the players because we can play up to 5 people. We also have bag with the train stations, 3 for each player, as well as a lovely addition, I think, 3 spare trains of each color in case we lose one or perhaps our dogs eat something. We also have 2 sets of cards. We have cards with trains over here in a nice pile, as well as cards with tickets. And why or how the train works and the tickets work, I will explain you right now, because we're gonna have a closer look of how the game plays. Alright, so now we can see the map in its full glory and the game is ready for setup. Over here we have a game for 2 players, so we take yellow and blue in this case and we put them over here. And these are the tokens that we're gonna use to mark how many points a player has. On top we have a card over here which indicates how many points do we get for our particular amount of trains. So if, for example, I will beat route over here with 1, 2, 3, 4 trains, I will score 7 points and move my point track accordingly. Relatively simple. Over here we also have a bonus card that a person who built the longest route throughout the game gets, and that gives 10 bonus points. Over here we have tickets over there. And how it works that at the beginning of the game, each player gets 3 tickets, which are the standard tickets with different routes between the cities, as well as 1 long route ticket, which quite often scores more points, but is far more difficult to actually finish. Then on the right side over there, we have the cards that we can take throughout the game, and we're going to be using these to build the routes, as well as the time over here. So it's really simple. How the game works is that each turn, player can do one of 3 actions. A player can either take 2 cards from here. However, if the player decides to take Locomotive, which works like a joker and can be used as card of any color, from the face-up cards, it can only take joker and nothing else. However, a person can also take cards from here, which we could call, let's say, secret pile. So I might decide that I want to take green card, and the next of my cards I can either take from here or from there. In this case, I got a black, which is all good. Then I make sure to refill that place, because we always need to have 5 cards over there. If at any moment we're gonna have 3 locomotives over there, we need to take them, put them back, reshuffle and deal the cards again, because 2 locomotives at a time is the maximum. So that's it. One thing we can do is take cards from there. Second one is to actually build. Now, how do we build is really simple. Let's just say that these are the cards I have in my hand and I want to connect Roma with Venezia. What I have to do is to play the amount of cards equal to the amount of trains I need to use. And in this case, the route is 2 trains long, so I need to pay 2 cards of that color, and then I claim that route. In this case, I connect Roma to Venezia. These cards go to the discard pile, and also I go back to this and have a look. I used 2 trains and built a 2 long route. That means I get 2 points. So I'll move my blue track from nothing to 2 points. That's pretty much it. The third action we can do is if, for example, we think we are all good and we've managed to get our ticket, we can take a new ticket. Now that might be really good, as in this case, for example, we will score 5 additional points at the end of the game if we connect Budapest with Sofia. So if we go and get our trains from here to here, by the end of the game we are going to score 5 extra points. Now at this moment you might think that taking a lot of tickets is quite good. However, that is not the case, because for each ticket that we did not do, we take away the points that we would normally score. So if I will have Budapest Sofia, but I don't manage to build that route and connect these two cities, I will get -5 points to my total final score. So as you can see, it's not just about spamming the tickets as much as we can, we really need to be careful with how it works. Okay, so as we can see, our 2-player game is already going for some time and we will have some more points in this case. What is quite interesting is that now I'm going to briefly cover the special rules. Now, one of the really interesting rules is these over here. So as you can see, some of the routes have a black border around it, like we can see over here. That indicates that the route itself requires us to use and build a tunnel. Now, how making route like that works is actually quite easy, but really interesting mechanic which introduces the push your luck element. Let's say I'm a yellow player and I want to connect Marseille with Roma. What I have to do is to pay, and in order to pay, I need to pay 4 trains of the same color. Now, as these over here, the route itself is grey, I can use any color. If, for example, over here the route is pink, of course I would have to pay with pink. Now in this case, because it's grey, I decide to use 4 black. Now, because I'm building a tunnel, what I have to do is to take top 3 cards. For any card which is the same color as the one I used, I would need to pay 1 more in order to build. So now, this is the joker which popped out, which means that I have to pay 1 extra because this is all of the available colors, which means it is at this moment black. And as I need 4, because of that, I will need to have an extra one. So I can either pay 1 extra and build the actual route I wanted and score normally, or if, for example, for some reason I don't have enough trains and I can't, the trains go back, the route is not built and claimed, but the cards are not wasted and go back to my hand. These cards, however, are discarded and go into the discard pile. So that's how tunnels work. Another special rule available in the Europe edition is that certain routes have this symbol of locomotive. That means that if I want to build a route, I need to pay the amount of locomotives equal to the amount of symbols. So if I want to link London to Amsterdam, I can't just use, for example, 2 orange cards, because it's shown that it requires 2 locomotives. So I will have to spend 2 joker cards to actually build that. In this case, however, what I want to do as the blue player is to connect Essen with Copenhagen. So what I do is pay 2 orange, again, because this is grey, so I can pay with any color I want, and 1 locomotive, because this requires me to do so. Then I can build over here without any problems, and again, I claim the route, I get the points, and everything is all good. So here you go, that's how the locomotive cards work. Alright, another special rule which Europe introduces is these. Now these are the train station, and what they do is, on our turn, instead of taking cards, we can build a station on any given city. What this allows us to do is to use a single route built by another player. So for example, let's say I want to go to Madrid, I want to link Madrid with Marseille, and I want to use yellow players here route to claim it. I could say that I'm building my train over here and I'm using this route. However, remember that one train station allows me only to use a single route. So it's not any of the routes going out of the Marseille, it's only going to be a single one which I chose, in this case Marseille to Barcelona. And that's about it. Now remember, like I said, each one of these is worth 4 points at the end of the game if we don't use it. So you might not always want to use them really quickly, and it might be worth keeping them unused till the end of the game. Okay, so now you know how to play Ticket to Ride, you know how the game works, so let's move on to my final thoughts about it. Just last thing before we go, let's have a closer look at the trains and the components. What I can say is that trains, as you hopefully can see, are of really good quality, and while all the trains are the same, so we are basically building the same thing, they are actually of decent plastic. I don't think they're going to get broken easily, so that's all good. The board itself is of nice thick cardboard and folds well, so I think it should be quite good and sturdy and should survive the basic use we have. The cards have nice linen finish, and I don't think they're going to split or anything really easily, and these are our standard wooden tokens, so I don't think you have much to worry about. So quality wise, the game is really good. So now, let's have a look at my final thoughts about Ticket to Ride Europe. Alright, so what I think about Ticket to Ride. I think it's a really nice game. I like that it's very easy to play, therefore it's also very easy to learn, which makes it a really good entry game for people who would like to try but might be a bit scared of more complex games like Mansions of Madness or Scythe. So this is a really good game if you want to have a game for a family. If you have a person who, for example, isn't really much into board gaming and they have upcoming birthday, that could be a really good gift to get them into part of our hobby. Now it's a really nice game with all the components being of really good quality, like you saw in the video. All the components, cards and trains look really lovely and they make the game colourful and interesting, I think. The game can be played with up to 5 people, so we can play in a bit bigger group, it's not only 2 of us that can play. It's a game simple enough to be taught to kids and they will really enjoy it, but it can also be played with adults, or I can imagine playing this with my grandfather, and he shouldn't have much of a problem to kind of wrap his head around of how the game works. I think that the game is really nice, and I'm not going to say it's in top of my list for all games ever, because I'm a bigger fan of the more complex titles like Mansions of Madness. But I can say that if I'm looking for a quick, simple game, Ticket to Ride is going to be one of these that I'm going to be the first to grab. I've got a couple of other titles like Pandemic and so on, but if I want a simple competitive game that is fun to play, looks lovely and is very enjoyable, Ticket to Ride would possibly be one of my top choices. So if you don't own a copy yet, I would strongly recommend you to grab one. And if you are, for example, from USA, you possibly will want to grab the original American version. If you are from Asia, you might want to grab the Asian one. Now remember though that each of the version has slightly different rules, like over here we've got the tunnels and stations, while in American we don't really have it. And in Asian one I think there is like dangerous or mountain passes on, so on and so forth. So be aware that the different versions of the game have small changes in the rules. There is also a children version of the game over here which is called Ticket to Ride The First Journey, I believe. And if you are interested, I can make a review as a friend of mine owns it, so I can show you what are the main differences and why perhaps if you are aiming for kids, the child-focused version might be a better choice. But I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you enjoyed Ticket to Ride. And if you haven't played it yet, I would strongly recommend you do so. If you did, I'm quite sure you understand why I'm really happy to play that game no matter when. If you don't have a copy, definitely go buy it. If any of your friends are having birthday soon, you should be getting it for them. And I think that's about it. That wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed today's video and I hope you will come back for more videos like the one we had today. If you want the children version of Ticket to Ride, drop the comment down below and I will be sure to make it happen. And also, what I would like you to do is to come back for the next video, because we're going to be giving a small little information that might be quite worth your time. So, thanks for watching the video and I'll see you soon in the next video, which will be there next week. See you in a week, enjoy your games and take care.